Okay, so here's a quick tip I'll just preface this vlog with. So here's a nice little sanding block tip for all you carpenters out there. Maybe you know about it, sorry if you do, but for those that don't, take a piece of plywood. In this case, this is 3/8. I usually like to use 1/2 inch, and then cut it at 11 3/4, give or take. Depends on the belt and how tight you want it. Slide it right over, right? So it'll end up looking like that. Takes a little bit to get it over. It's, you know, to shimmy it on. But you'll have a nice, rugged, durable 4-inch sanding block that all your friends will want to steal. They'll say, where'd you get that? It takes nothing to make it. And these belts are really tough, right? You know, from the belt sanders. And this tool is nice to have in the box. You make a couple different grits if you want. Okay? Okay, how's everybody doing? So in this clip, I want to share to everyone how I establish this curve, this French curve here, and how I pick off the apex, and just, you know, basically how I visually apply the curve on this maquette model to the full-size prototype benchwork here, okay? Now this model is 2 inches to the foot, so when you see a square there, it's a foot, right? So here's a 2-foot stud, 2 feet, and so on, right? So what you see right here to here is 2 feet. So this block you see right here, this is 3 inches. 1/2 inch in the model scale is 3 inches in the real world. So I got a block here that's, well, it's not exactly 3 inches. 2 3/4 will do because I can shift it up and down. To try to establish this curve, I'll show you here that I'm using with 1/8 oak, okay? See here? So here's the bench. So I got this 1/8 oak ripped at 2 inches, and I tagged it right here, okay? And it's going to come along. I'm just leaving this springy like this. All right, don't worry about that right now. We're just going to get the curve. It's all visual. Let me tell you a little story here too. I trained under Master Carpenters, but I'm far from a master. I'll tell you right now, the guys that I trained under in the film industry, there was one gentleman named Tommy, and he took me on his bench. And the first thing he said to me was, forget everything that you know or get lost. And I was like, whoa, okay. Because I just came off the street, right? I was just a regular carpenter off the street. And he said, if you want to learn this game, he said, forget everything that they tell you on the street, because this is a whole different ballgame. And he's right. And I'll tell you something too. Tommy, people won't agree with what I'm about to say, but this guy was a master. He could build a model boat, a wooden dory, in like two or 3 days, like a 1/4 scale, with all the strakes, like a lap strake. Unbelievable. Like, okay, so this is the 12-foot dory in 1/4 scale that Tommy built for me. And like, he built this in 3 days on the side of his bench. Like, he was so gifted, that man. You know, the stuff, I mean, the things he could do were just unbelievable. And I feel honored to have this. I apprenticeshiped under him, but I only scratched the surface of what he knew. So when I say 1/4 scale, that means 3 inches is a foot in the model. This is a 12-foot dory, and it's 36 inches long, right? So a 1/4 inch is an inch. Okay? Yeah, what a talented guy. All Western red cedar with the mahogany knees and transom and seats. Like, just, you know, it's the kind of stuff that he built, right? Like, he even put the brass oarlocks on, you know, all on single malt. Like, I'm sorry, but that's the way that's the way the industry is. Like, you go to movies, you have no idea the people, the kind of character people there are in the studios and the shops that make the films you pay to go see. Anyway, I just thought I'd leave that with you. The guy, like the carpenters that I had the privilege to work under in the film industry, were the best in the world, in my opinion, in my experience. And they forgot more than I'll ever know. But let me just tell you this quick story about Tommy, right? So Tommy liked single malt throughout the day, right, in his coffee mug. This guy could build, I watched him build French colonial oval window doors, the real deal, out of cedar, for example, or oak, whatever, but it was cedar for film because they're light, right? And 6 double hung doors in 1 day, right? All jigs on his table saw. The guy was just unbelievable, right? I mean, I'd never get to his level. but he was a visual carpenter, and there was another guy that could probably build a barley twist inlaid with ebony table in 3 days. Like, these guys were the best, man. And I'm telling you, you know, I used to see people come in that they'd interview from the street, and they'd all say, "Oh, I'm a finished carpenter," and he'd know within the first 10 minutes the way the guy moved on the bench. Yeah? So I'm not making any claims to be a finished carpenter. I'm just telling you right now that I did my apprenticeship in film, and I'm a visual carpenter, and I have my own style, and if people don't like it, I really don't care, right? And if you like to do it a certain way, then that's fine, but I'm just getting the carpentry rant off my chest here, because I want to build this thing, and I'm doing it my way. And if there's people out there that want to watch, that's fine, but I'm just going to move ahead. I don't want to get into semantics of carpentry, okay, please? And we want to get this built so we can get on with the show, right? So anyway, so you can see this curve. So I'm going to work from the model because I like the visual look of the model. So I want to stick to this, okay? Like I say, right, you just establish it right on the corner here, right? And then you just clamp it up and just flex it out, play around with it, right? That's why I build a maquette model, because why? Because this will show me visually what it looks like, right? And if I like the model, then I'm going to build a prototype according to the model in that sense, right? So this here, this is 1/8 red oak. So I'm going to establish this curve. There's going to be a panel here, so I'm going to butt joint it here because I don't want a butt joint in the curve down here. I want it smooth, right? And then once I'm done with the first run, all the way around the layout, when it's all smooth and nice, I'm going to lay on 2 more layers, right? I'm going to go over the butt joints, and I'm going to laminate 3 layers with glue and clamps. Like that. And get a nice smooth sub base, or in this case it would be like a sub casing, okay? And then on top of that, when that's finished, so this will be probably the river level right here, right? So I'm going to run it up to there, and then I'm going to trace the profile underneath off of this casing, and then I'm going to lay in my river section that's going to be water, and then when that's cut flush to here, the fascia is going to be 1/8 medite, and it's going to be flush to the edge here, sanded, beautiful, flat, smooth, so the water runs right to the corner of the fascia. It's paint and then water. There's no funny trim or resin, wicking up or anything like that, okay? That's what it's going to be like. So this will be laminated with probably 3 layers in glue, and you'd be surprised how strong and rigid this will be with 3 layers. You could probably get away with 2, but I'm going to do 3 because it's going to, this is going to be subject to wear and tear, right? Okay, so that's how I establish the French curves in the layout according to the maquette model. Do you see the reason for my madness now? See, because I'm happy with this, right? Okay, so that's the lesson on doing curved fascia the way I do it. There's other ways, fine, but this is the way I do it. Okay, so I just want to talk to you about this laminate now on the curve, right? So there's going to be 3 layers of this, right? Ripped at 2 inch. This is 1/8 red oak, okay? And so I'm just laminating. So I just spread with glue with a brush, a damp brush. I glue up, do 4 feet or whatever. I'll let it dry. There's no pins yet. This is just casing, right? To establish the curve. And then when I get 3 layers on here, it'll be really strong. And then at the end, I'll just tack on the 1/8 medite fascia. Okay, so we'll close with the corner here. So we talked about curves, masters, and now we're going to deal with this corner. This is just a standard way that I would treat a curved module that's joining up. So this is module B, right? Number 2. Okay. And we want it to be able to come apart so we can move it. Like if you're building, I mean me, if I'm building for a client and I design a layout, let's say, it has to come apart. I mean, you know, it's just the way the game works, right? And I'm going to do that with mine as well, because if I ever have to move it, you know, it should be able to be moved as easily as you can make it. It's not always easy, but so you can see that this module's joined with 3 bolts, right? Okay. Now this is module A that runs all the way through, so I'll have to deal with the terrain issue here with a couple of plates. That's no problem. Now this corner, what to do with this corner, so here's how I'm going to deal with it, okay? Now I could make a separate piece here, like this. Let me shove it up in there for you. Nice and snug fit, right? Okay. Okay, so you can make this a separate piece, and then you can have a join here and a join on the other side, which looks just like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a plate in here, and I'll show you that in a second, but I'm going to cut it, like once it's pinned, I'm going to cut it here, and this is going to be packed out with softwood slice in here. Okay, and then this is where the oak casing is going to merge right here if it comes apart on the other side. It's not going to happen here because this is going to be part of this module with just this hook on it. All right, so this is going to stay with this module because there's going to be scenery on here, and I only want to have 1 seam. I don't want 2 or 3 actually. It's like 3 breaks is what it would be, right? I just want 1 long one. And I'm going to run it this way because the river ends just before this corner. It'll just be a terrain plate running through here. Okay? All right, so this corner frame is going to get glued and screwed and become part of this module. And then it keys into the corner here. Okay? Just to show you that again. Like, see how it keys in. So this whole corner is just super, I mean, I'm reefing on this thing, right? There's no, like the only brace that I have is a strong back running down like this. You can't see it here, but it's running down at an angle down to the baseboard down below there with a cleat against the baseboard, right? Now you can do that. You can run a post too here if you want. There's different ways you can do that. But this corner now is so strong. Like once this is bolted, like screwed, and then a bolt through here, right here. It just ties these 2 10-foot modules, makes them rock solid. Like look at it. Like there's no, like down to the right, there's no support. Just down in the corner, which I haven't tagged it yet. Okay? And this curve here is going to make it even more rigid. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this part of module B like this. And then I cut a plate. So this plate's going to drop in here like this. I'll show you how I make the plate. So what I do is I take a large enough piece, usually 6 inches, like, you know, that'll cover this, like this span here, right? And give you something to clamp with so you can jigsaw it out nice. Like you got to be able to hold it to do the curve. And then I cut the, you know, the miter on the table saw, right? Okay. So what I do is I just clamp this plate flush to here, and I just trace it. Underneath, just trace it, and then I get a pattern. I had a pattern here, but they're out at the shop, out in the shop, which is my driveway. Oh, by the way, don't tell me that if you don't have a shop, you can't build like this. I'm building this in the driveway, okay? And also, don't tell me that, oh, I don't have any room. This is a 10 by 10 room, roughly. You can build the layout of your dreams without a shop and without a big basement. But anyway, so this goes here, okay? I'm going to glue and screw and make this part of it. This stays, but on the other side, it'll be sawed here and it'll key in here. Right, that's where it'll join, and there'll just be a thin seam here. And then the Medite Fascia, right, will go over top of that. You can treat that in a number of ways. You can scarf it or whatever, right? And then this plate, which is cut from 3/4 maple, is going to drop in here like this. Okay, nice tight fit, so you don't need very little glue, right? And the reason why I'm going to drop it down inside like this, like why don't you just lay it across like this and then just trace it here and then just lay it on top? Like why would you go to the trouble to cut this? Well, because I got somewhere to pin to now, right? And it's nice and flush if you want to run track on here at this level, right? Now when this is glued and pinned, oh man, it's just beautiful, strong, right? Framed up like this. This area here, you could just wedge and plane a piece here and just fill that in if you want. A softwood. You know, just... And then this is where the joint will be, like this is where it'll break away right here. And then this, here I'll just run a piece of parchment paper between the whole seam. Will be parchment all the way down here. Just in case, because of liquids and glues, and that gets into the seam, and it, you know, over years it'll, you know, might not come apart. Put a piece of parchment paper and then close it up, and when you go to strike it or whatever, a couple of shakes like that, right? And if you do the terrain plates right, then you know she'll pop. Okay? So thanks for tuning in. That's vlog 3, curves, masters, and corners. See you on the next one. Have a great day. Cheers.